Anthony King here, and today we're going to do a special on Michael Jackson's Dangerous Tour in Bremen. And I'm happy to do this for the MJcast. I love what they do. Usually I would do 10 minutes per song, but today we're going to speed through and do 10 minutes for the whole concert. So we'll just do some of the highlights, and at a later stage I will do a whole exclusive on the whole show. So let's jump in. This is Michael Jackson's Dangerous Tour was in Germany, in Bremen, in the north of Germany on August the 8th, 1992 at the Weser Stadium. Now, very important to look at this show in context. Your first initial reaction might be that it looks great and an amazing show, that's fine. But if you look at it closer, you'll see that Michael Jackson, there's something wrong with Michael on this concert. And for those of you who know your Michael Jackson history will know that a week before, Michael Jackson was taken ill with a virus. And unfortunately for me, I was at Wembley Stadium, I think it was on the 1st of August, and Michael Jackson cancelled the show a few minutes before. So that was 1 week before this. So if you have a look at this show, you might notice that Michael Jackson is ill. He is recovering, probably on medication, and it actually affected the show pretty much. So bear that in mind when watching this show. Okay, let's start off. It starts off with Carmina Burana and with the O Fortuna, which it doesn't. So there was issues with, if I remember correctly, there were issues with the Carl Orff estate. Or if I remember correctly, I think it might have been the actual orchestra who recorded the version which Michael used originally on the tour. But there was some kind of issues. So what it sounds like they've done is they've basically redone a piece of music in the spirit of Carl Orff. And as far as I'm aware, that certainly isn't in Carmina Burana. So it's a new piece that they composed, because I don't know what it is. So it sounds like they just copied it in keeping the same form and structure. And as they were in Germany, they probably didn't want issues with the estate. And that's the same one they used in the Royal Concert in Brunei and some other shows as well. Okay, if you take a look at Jam, he doesn't actually dance a lot. The first move especially is particularly messy. If you take a look at it, you can see that he's ill. Again, obviously, Michael Jackson ill is still amazing, but he really is going through the motions. If you take a look at Smooth Criminal just before the lean, you've been hit by he doesn't do any moves there, which is very, very unusual. So this the sound is from the mixing desk, and just not all of the elements are there. So, for example, we don't have any crowd, any audience sound, because they weren't. This is from Michael's band, and some elements are higher than the others, particularly the drums. And there's other backing singing and click track elements which actually aren't particularly loud in this mix. But we hear a lot of Ricky Lawson, actually. We hear a lot of him talking, and we hear a lot of him testing the drums in between the songs. If you take a look at something fun in Jam, Michael Jackson loses one of his finger tapes, which is interesting, and he picks it up off the stage. It happened on the History Tour as well. We have a little bit of click track issues in Jam. If you take a listen closely into the break of Jam, you'll hear the click track continuing on. It goes Jam, Jam. You know those backing sounds? They're the pre-recorded elements. And so there were issues in Jam, and there was also major issues in Man in the Mirror. We'll come to that in a minute. We had a lot of gaps in between the songs because Michael Jackson was ill, and so a lot less than usual in the Dangerous Tour. He was pretty quick on the Dangerous Tour, but I mean, he really was recovering. If you take a look at Smooth Criminal, obviously you'll see one of the backing dancers fall over whilst doing the lean. So they had a malfunction. He probably wasn't clipped in properly whilst doing the lean. That's actually Jamie, who is amazing. He's a very good friend of my little brother's, actually. So I think he'll find it very funny if we send him that. He's gone on to do amazing things and direct the Cirque Michael Jackson shows, and he's with Madonna right now. He really is amazing. Okay, what else? Now, logistically, staging, extremely different. Thriller. No background set at all. Obviously, that means no illusion, no coffins, nothing. Now, there's probably many reasons for this, but it's probably comes down to logistics. So what happens is you have multiple stages, and you probably have 2 or 3 that travel around each time. But not every arena can fit the same amount of equipment. Or possibly, for example, because one of the shows was cancelled, basically the planning was probably out, so they couldn't get all of the set in the stadium. Now that's speculation, but it's going to be a logistical reason that they didn't have that set in, and it makes a big effect on the show. As in, to cut the illusion out and to cut the brilliant set is such a pity. Obviously, that means during Heal the World, we don't have the split stage either. It's just the standard, almost bad tour, standard Brecht normal stage. You see everything, not a lot of set, which is very different to Bucharest and other parts of the Dangerous Tour, similarly to the second leg of the History Tour. So yeah, what a pity. No Thriller illusion. But if you take a close look during Working Day and Night, you're going to see something very interesting. If you take a look when he sits down in the chair, you will see his black trousers underneath his blue trousers, which is very, very rare. So you'll see the quick change. They rip off the top and rip off the blue trousers, and then his black trousers are tucked in. So that is something very interesting from this show, which you probably didn't know, or you definitely wouldn't have seen before. So when he's sitting on the chair, Working Day and Night in the Illusion, take a look at his trousers. You'll see the black ones. Talking about him being sick, if you just take a look at just before the moonwalk in Billie Jean, not as sharp as he usually would do it. I mean, really. For me, straight away, I look and I say, okay, there's something wrong with this. During this show. I mean, just down to the "Will you be there?" without the angel coming down at the end, putting her arms around him, probably because of the virus. I mean, probably a very simple reason. If you take a look, even his t-shirt, he's wearing a high-necked, circle-necked with a rip rather than his long V-neck. I mean, he does look, brilliant show, but he physically looks like he's struggling near the end. Just a couple of cool things. You've got a really cool bass kick in between Working Day and Night and Beat It. And it sounds like he expected Michael to come in quicker than he did. And if you take a look at Beat It, take a look and compare that to Michael's Bucharest, you can see that he's really is tired. As I said previously, big gaps in between the songs. Okay, one of my favourite parts of this show was Man in the Mirror. Now, I'm going to tell you a few things about Man in the Mirror which happened in the Bremen concert which were unusual. Michael, as you probably know, he mimed most of the song, and then the second part of the song he sang live. But Michael wasn't completely with it during Man in the Mirror. So what happened was he expected the click track of his vocal to go out earlier than it did. So he basically stopped miming and the track went on. And then even afterwards, he expected it to be live and it wasn't live. So the guy in control of the microphone wasn't switched on, so to speak. But if you listen, there's a line starting with the Man in the Mirror. And if you listen to the rest of the Dangerous Tour, it's very rare that last line is ever heard. Because usually what will happen is it's the pre-recorded element, lead vocal, is usually turned off before that point. Now, starting with the Man in the Mirror, that line was in the original recording, as in Michael's original recording. It wasn't on the album, but it was in the original recording. You can hear it in one other place in one of Michael's concerts. And can you guess what it is? Can you think? It's United We Stand, Man in the Mirror. You will hear starting with the Man in the Mirror, and then it will go live. Usually on the Dangerous Tours, Michael's live much, much earlier. Now, another thing was Michael Jackson forgot to introduce the band. You could see that he literally forgot to do it. And also that last end section, they had issues with the mix, harmony, and with the click track. Because what happened was Michael essentially, he improvised. There is a staircase section musically where Michael will spin and go on his toes and it will break down. But what happened was Michael Jackson did that once And then afterwards, the oohs come in, the choir, the oohs, the harmony of oohs. And what happened was, they started those oohs, which is a pre-recorded element. So once it started, it started. And then Jack went back to doing another spin, which he'd already previously done. Which means they had to cut off the oohs, which means that it's now messed up the rest of the song. So if you listen, they had to manually trigger the oohs, the backing vocals oohs on a keyboard. So if you listen carefully, you will hear they're not perfectly in sync. So take a listen to that. The oohs and the ahs in Man in the Mirror, they're going to be out because Michael extended the songs when the band weren't properly prepared. However, what a brilliant performance. Really, really good. And, the band did a great job, so Michael forgot to introduce the rest of them, but you know what? They did a great job. You can also hear a couple of extra little things at the end of Thriller as well. Little extra sounds that you don't usually hear. Okay. That'll do, and I will see you soon, guys. Really nice to be with you, and speak to you soon. My name's Anthony King, and it's been a pleasure.